The nights were never easy for Emma after the tragic death of her lover, Michael. The memory of the accident haunted her relentlessly, replaying like a broken record in her mind. Michael had been taken from her in an instant, leaving her heartbroken and shattered. Emma's small apartment had become a shrine to their love. Photographs of happier days adorned the walls, and his scent still lingered on the clothes in the closet. Every night, she would lie in their bed, tears staining her pillow as she clutched his old t-shirt, trying to find some solace in the memories of their time together. It was on one of those desolate nights, a month after Michael's passing, that the first call came. The clock on her bedside table read midnight when her phone's screen illuminated the room. The caller ID displayed a chilling, impossible name, Michael. Her heart pounding, she hesitated for a moment before answering. A weak "hello" escaped her trembling lips. Static filled her ear, and she strained to hear anything beyond it. Then, faintly, as if from a great distance, she heard a voice that sent shivers down her spine. "Emma," it whispered, barely audible. "I miss you." Tears welled up in her eyes as she choked back a sob. "Michael, is that you?" The voice on the other end grew clearer, but it was far from the reassuring sound of her beloved. It was a chilling, distorted version of his voice, like a broken record stuck in a loop. "Emma, why did you let me die? Why didn't you save me?" Panic coursed through her veins as the whispering voice filled her ears with guilt and sorrow. The call ended abruptly, leaving her trembling and disoriented. For nights on end, the calls persisted. Every night at the stroke of midnight, her phone would ring, displaying Michael's name. She would answer, hoping to find some closure, some sign that he was at peace. But each time, the voice on the other end grew more malevolent, its whispers filled with accusations and haunting questions. Emma's life began to unravel. The lack of sleep and the relentless torment pushed her to the brink of madness. She stopped going to work, her apartment grew cluttered with unwashed dishes and empty takeout containers, and her once vibrant spirit withered away. Desperate for answers, she turned to a psychic, Madame Alara, who was known in her neighborhood for helping people communicate with the other side. With skepticism and fear in her heart, Emma visited the quaint little shop. Madame Alara, a woman with wise, knowing eyes, listened to Emma's story and nodded sympathetically. She lit a few candles and began the séance, calling upon the spirits to reveal the truth. As the room darkened, Emma's heart raced. She felt a cold breeze sweep through the room, and the atmosphere seemed to shift. Then, in the dim candlelight, a ghostly figure appeared, a spectral image of Michael. "Emma," the apparition spoke, its voice distant and otherworldly. "I didn't want to leave you. But something is keeping me here, trapped in this darkness." Tears streamed down Emma's face as she reached out for him, but her hand passed through his ethereal form. "Michael, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to save you." The spirit's eyes, filled with a sorrow deeper than any ocean, met hers. "Listen closely, Emma. You must find the truth about my death. Only then can we both find peace." The séance ended, and Emma left Madame Alara's shop with newfound determination. She began investigating Michael's death, poring over old news articles, interviewing witnesses, and digging into the details of the accident. As the pieces of the puzzle came together, a chilling revelation emerged. Michael's death had not been an accident at all. It was murder, and someone close to him had orchestrated it. With evidence in hand, Emma went to the authorities, leading to a thorough investigation and the arrest of the person responsible for Michael's death. As justice was served, Emma felt a weight lift from her heart. The calls from Michael ceased, and with each passing night, her sleep grew more peaceful. She knew that he was finally free from the torment that had bound him to the mortal realm. Emma would forever carry the memory of her lover and the trials they had faced together. The experience had taught her that love could transcend even death itself, and sometimes, it took confronting the darkest of secrets to find the light of truth and redemption. The sun hung low on the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over the charming coastal town of Pacific Haven, California. Amelia, a young woman with dreams as vast as the ocean before her, stood before her new home, a picturesque Victorian nestled among tall palm trees and vibrant bougainvillea. It was a vision of paradise that promised the start of a new life. Amelia had always longed to escape the humdrum of her small hometown and start anew. When a job offer brought her to Pacific Haven, she felt like she was living in a dream. The promise of endless sunshine and the soothing sound of waves lured her to this idyllic town. Little did she know that the picturesque facade of her new home concealed a haunting secret. The house had an undeniable charm, with its white picket fence and lush garden. As Amelia settled in, the warm California sun streamed through the windows, bathing the rooms in a soft, comforting light. She couldn't help but feel like she was finally living the life she'd always dreamed of. The first sign of something amiss came on a calm, starry night. As Amelia lay in her cozy bed, she heard faint, heart-wrenching cries. It was a child's voice, soft and mournful, like a distant whisper carried on the breeze. She dismissed it as the wind rustling through the trees or her imagination playing tricks on her tired mind. But the cries persisted, growing louder, more desperate with each passing night. It was as though a young soul was trapped in a perpetual state of grief, unable to find solace. One evening, while reading in the living room, Amelia saw it, a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye. She turned, her heart pounding, and there it was, a shadowy figure. A woman in a tattered, white dress, her hair disheveled, her face contorted in anguish. Her mournful eyes bore into Amelia's soul, and a chilling scream pierced the air. Amelia stumbled backward, her pulse racing, but the figure had vanished as quickly as it had appeared. She was left trembling, her mind struggling to make sense of the impossible. Desperate for answers, she began researching the history of her home. It was then that she uncovered the chilling truth. The previous owner, Elizabeth, had lived in the house decades ago. She had been a young mother, full of hope and dreams for her child's future. But tragedy struck one fateful day when her only child, a little girl, met a tragic accident. Devastated by grief and guilt, Elizabeth had descended into madness, haunted by the loss she could never overcome. In the end, the anguish had become too much, and she had taken her own life. The hauntings in the house grew increasingly malevolent. Amelia would wake up to find her belongings rearranged, pictures thrown to the floor, and chilling messages scrawled on the walls in a spectral hand. The spirit of Elizabeth was growing more hostile, as if blaming Amelia for the happiness she could never have. One restless night, Amelia woke to find herself floating above her bed, unable to move, her limbs pinned down by an unseen force. She felt a frigid presence in the room, and there she was again, Elizabeth's anguished face, twisted with torment. The spirit's icy fingers seemed to wrap around Amelia's throat, squeezing the life out of her. Amelia's gasps for breath were desperate, her vision growing dim, but in a final surge of strength, she managed to break free from the spirit's grip. She stumbled out of bed, gasping for air, and realized that she couldn't face this horror alone. She needed help. With trembling hands, she reached for her phone and dialed a number she had found during her research, a renowned medium who lived in Pacific Haven. Desperate for answers and a way to free herself from this relentless torment, she made an appointment for the next day. The medium, a gentle woman named Cassandra, listened intently to Amelia's chilling tale. She nodded knowingly, her eyes filled with compassion, and agreed to help her confront the malevolent spirit haunting her home. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Amelia and Cassandra began the séance. The room was filled with flickering candles and the soft, haunting melody of incantations. Amelia held her breath as she watched the medium's eyes roll back, her voice taking on an otherworldly tone. Through the seance, they made contact with the tormented spirit of Elizabeth. The room grew cold, and a spectral figure materialized before them. Elizabeth's eyes were pools of sorrow, her voice a haunting whisper. "I couldn't save her," she cried, her voice trembling with regret. "I couldn't save my precious child." Amelia, her heart heavy with empathy, reached out to the spirit. She could feel the anguish and guilt that had held Elizabeth captive for so long. As they spoke, it became clear that Elizabeth had blamed herself for her child's death and had never found peace. Cassandra guided Elizabeth's spirit toward the light, helping her let go of her guilt and sorrow. The room seemed to brighten as Elizabeth's anguished cries turned into soft, sorrowful sobs. With a final, heartfelt farewell, the spirit of the tormented mother dissipated into the ether. As the sun rose over California, Amelia's home felt different. The once malevolent presence that had plagued her was gone, replaced by a sense of serenity and tranquility. She could finally breathe freely in her new home, knowing that she had helped a tormented soul find the peace she had longed for. Amelia often sat in her garden, gazing out at the Pacific Ocean. She had found her paradise, but she had also discovered that sometimes, paradise comes at a price. She would forever carry the memory of the tormented spirit of Elizabeth, a woman whose love and grief had transcended death itself. And in that memory, she found not only fear but also a deep well of compassion for the souls that linger in the shadows of regret.